So cleaner inversion logic. Traditional system, if you have a 5-note away, that is a 7 steps. So I'm sorry, a perfect fifth is 7 steps. Its inverse is a perfect fourth or 5 steps. So we start to think about these inverse distances. How do you get the inverse distance? Well, if a perfect fifth is 7 steps forward, 12 minus 7 would be 5 steps. And a 5-step distance is going to be a perfect fourth. We'll talk more about these inverses shortly. But if I had a 7i4, which is a 7-note away from the Ionian node, which would be a 4th modal half step forward, which would be the 5th scale degrees, that's 7 semitones, so it tells you the 7 up front, and it's 4 modal steps forward, which would be the 5th scale degree. Scale degree is always off by 1. So the inversion then, of course, makes perfect sense because I can just say, well, that's like going around the block that has 12 locations, and I can say 12 minus 7, therefore, would be 5. So the inversion would be 5 from the Ionian, and then it would be the fourth would be 7 locations around the block. So 7 minus 4 would be 3. So a 5i3, 5 semitones, 3 modal steps backward. So the logical and intuition is right here, 12 minus 7, and then the 7 minus 4. So if you do that up here, it doesn't quite make sense. It's confusion because, once again, you drop the notes. The notes are gone entirely, so you just have to know that a perfect fifth is a 7-note away perfect fifth, so that you can take the inverse in distance, which is 12 minus 7, to get to the 5. And then this 5 represents the scale degrees. So if you had a major key, then that would be the 5th, or whatever scale degree you're on, that would be the 5th scale degree. You would think there are 7 scale degrees. So you would think that you can take 7 minus 5 and get the inverse, but you can't. Instead, you have to use something like a 9 minus 5 to get to the 4. You see, that doesn't make sense logically. The reason that happens, once again, is because these started on 1 instead of 0. The scale degree started on the wrong number, which is causing all these confusions. Now, you can get around that. You could say, well, yeah, you just learned the rule that you take 9 minus whatever the scale degree is, and then you get the inverse. And it's like, okay, yeah, you can find workarounds and stuff, but you shouldn't have to. It should be completely logical. Like, I should be able to see it this way. Okay, if I go around the block this way, it's 7. Around the block the other way, it's 5. If I go around the block this way with this unit of measure, it's 4. 7 minus 4 is 3. That makes sense just intuitively. Again, if you're a plumber and you're going around the block, that makes sense. For this, you have to learn rules which you shouldn't need to learn because of the problem or the error that took place. So independence from scale construction. Traditional system requires creating a scale to derive intervals. So once again, in order for me to determine a distance term, I need to make a scale out of something I might not want to make a scale about. It's just a collection of notes. So for me to measure from this f, it doesn't make sense for me to make a scale from the f when it's the same collection of notes. I should just start from that point and measure from that point. So in the modal distance system, no scale required, just identify the modal node. All we have to do is say we have this collection of notes. This is the node that we are on. We're going to measure from that node, and we're always going to go directionally around the block, either clockwise or counterclockwise, but I can't go through the middle. I can't go like through the middle. It's always going around the block. So the intervals are consistent regardless of tonal context. All right, so all benefits, no loss. So again, you're probably thinking of this. You've probably thought about these ideas if you've worked with this for some time, and you've thought, well, there's got to be a reason. It can't be that there's a better way. Well, no, there is actually an easier way to think about it, and it's worthwhile to think about it in the cleanest way possible. And again, the rationale that you would possibly get to why it's not presented in the simplest way is historically the way it's been developed, right? It's just custom that happened. But you'll get further by trying to clarify the language in your mind so that you can clarify it and then bridge the gap for communication to be able to better communicate on whatever terms are being presented, taking any terminology given and looking at what is required from that terminology, like what's the useful information and what is the misleading information. Just like talking to a lawyer or a sneaky, super progressive person that everything they say is implying that you're this and you're that, and they're calling you all kind of names and these weird terms and stuff that you don't know what they're talking about. It doesn't, all those terms don't matter. It just matters what's the distance. Like, what is the relevant thing that they're trying to tell me here? I don't care about all the other garbage. But I want to hear the term to get the actionable information. And that's the same thing we want to do here. What is the actual useful piece of information? That's how I want to see it. You can call me all the names you want and all the other stuff that you're doing. That's fine. I just want to hear the relevant thing to get done what I want to do. So it does retain all the functional interval data from the traditional system, adds direction, consistency, and logical inversion, enables mathematical understanding and scale-free visualization. So again, it's just the common sense thing to do. The inversion, direction makes sense. If you go a distance above an octave in either direction, it's consistent mathematically and makes sense. We'll map all this out in detail. Integrates smoothly within modern tools. So if you want to convert, note that all music systems are logical completely, even more so than language, right? So the current system is logical. It's just not the cleanest system. You have to take extra steps to get there. It's like having 5 pages of code to do something when you only need like a paragraph of code. It's still logical. It still works. It's just not as efficient. And that also means that software, particularly like a ChatGPT or something, can do the conversion easily these days, which is why I really think there's no way that the current system is not going to change now. It's like it got frozen in time the way it was because of writing. So like language got frozen in time because of writing. So it used to shift all the time. But now it's being liberated again because we can translate using computer language, which brings us almost to a vocal or verbal place again. So there's nothing, if we're not in the most efficient area, there's nothing that's going to hold us back from saying, no, we should do better because it's not frozen in time anymore. We can do the translation real time, anytime. So summary, the modal distance system avoids the off by one problem, which is clearly an issue. It enables directionality and simplifies inversion, which again, I think that's just self-explanatory. It detaches interval naming from key and scale dependence. It's a more logical, more teachable system for modern musicians. Now again, as you're thinking, you're going to be thinking, well, I don't want to learn more stuff, or I don't want to replace the current learning. Again, I wouldn't really say you can replace the intervals, but what I'm saying is you can add this to your term. Think of it as a different term. It's a modal distance, which is always going to be one less than the interval, right? It's always going to be one less than the interval, and you're going to be measuring that from the node, and that'll give you an easy comparison and conversion going from interval to modal distance, from modal distance to interval, and it'll allow you to then think of things in the more logical way, giving you some blockage in your mind against, the lawyer that's trying to convince you of something that isn't true, right? The language that's pushing you in a direction that is false. Just get the information you need.